This is a week of astrology that brings us right into the heart of a very energetic and challenging Pluto and Mars opposition, the third such opposition coming off a 2024 February conjunction. And this is energy that is about the big picture, is world event stuff. Although in our own lives, what could be world event, brute force and ruthless events in our own life can actually look like intense willpower and a supreme ability to get something done or to make the difficult and life-changing decisions that are necessary. So we're going to break down how Pluto and Mars in this week ahead operate in our lives in such a way that hopefully we can use this energy individually, not be like bowed down by it, the intensity of it, but also at the same time, understand that for world events, it tends to always look a little bit difficult, to say the very least. I'll give you a bit of the world astrology in the beginning. I'll spend no more than 5 to 10 minutes there talking about what this pattern of Mars Pluto has looked like so far as it's been playing out through our sky across the Leo axis and, of course, the Aquarius axis. And I'll give you the history of this particular conjunction cycle. And I'm going to give you a screenshotable chart. And in your own life, what I want to talk about is how you can use this energy, because Pluto is evolutionary, transpersonal, but it's also the kind of force that will transform your life. You cannot even imagine what a caterpillar thinks a butterfly is like until it becomes one. How are you in the way, which way in your life are you transforming some area of your life? It depends on your rising sign. And I'll explain that when we do the all signs portion. You can listen today for your sun sign as well, for sure. And really, the last way to listen is for your moon sign. Welcome to my channel. If you're new, my name is Lori Lothian. You know, I'm using the Western Tropical Zodiac. I love the whole sign houses. And we often bring in the asteroids as well, fixed stars and minor asteroids. And Pluto is hovering pretty darn close to the fixed star Altair, which is the Eagle constellation and has to do with matters of military might and war. We'll keep that in mind. In our own lives, we could be eagle-eyed and have a bird's eye view of some area of our life and use it in a more productive manner than necessarily military. I also want to talk about the Sabian symbol involved, which is 4 degrees Leo, because this opposition at Pluto at 3 degrees of Aquarius and Mars at 3 degrees of Leo creates this axis, and that also activates, in this case, the 4th degree Sabian, and that is very intriguing. It is quite interesting. It is actually the Sabian symbol. I've never ever looked at the Sabian before. From my very beat up book, A Screen of Prophecy, Diana E. Roche, a man dressed as a deer with its horns folded. I'll dive into what that might mean. And Renn Butler's The Archetypal Universe, just briefly, to talk about Mars Pluto archetypal energy, because Mars and Pluto in this angle across the Leo axis and the Capricorn and the Leo axis and the Aquarius axis is first in a lifetime. We would have to go back to the time of the American Revolution for us to find the Aquarius transit of Pluto. In this regard, we're talking about events we haven't seen for 250 years. So none of us in our lives can personally compare what it feels like to live through this time individually. So that's why it's pretty important to pay attention to what Pluto does, since he takes that 250 years to go around the zodiac. Let's bring up a few thoughts I have before we go into your sign. Oh, and if you like this kind of content, both world astrology up front and your sign timestamp and pin below in the comments, please, please, please like and subscribe. And also my Sky Reader summer school starting in June, July. It's 6 weeks long. Jump aboard. But if you want to get early access notice, get early bird discount, make sure you don't miss the enrollment opportunity, then you want to check the description box below where I have a wait list where you can get on that wait list, and I will email you when the enrollment cart opens sometime in the month of May. So let's go ahead and talk about the sky again. What was I wanted to bring up? Mars, Pluto. Renn Butler, good old archetypal universe. Renn's coming on my channel in May, so stay tuned for a visit by him. And intense willpower, courage, drive, and passion. Who doesn't want intense willpower, drive, courage, and passion? What a great combination. That's the good side. The shadow or the difficult side is, oh, and don't forget, on the positive side, renewal, regeneration, right? And volcanic catharsis. And certainly Mars, Pluto, especially Mars and fiery Leo, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't have a volcanic eruption of some note coming through some of the sky at some point during this Mars, Pluto combination with Leo involved, fiery Leo, but also tendencies towards brute force, ruthlessness, overexertion, pushing too hard, or vulgar and coarse sexuality. And there's a lot of great quotes about this from people who are born with a Mars Pluto energy. Walter Scott in a trine between Mars and Pluto, the will to do, the soul to dare. I love that. The will to do and the soul to dare. Do you have the will to do and the soul to dare? I might put that as a part of my thumbnail, the will to do and the soul to dare. That's what Mars and Pluto can give you. It's that strong, superpowered, superheroic determination, drive, will, and action that these two formidable planets put together in our reality. But we have the dark side. Like, really, we do. And one of the quotes by a man named Schiller, who has a Pluto Mars activation in his chart, is I feel an army in my fist. I feel an army in my fist. Ooh, of course, we know how dark that can be, to have an army in your fist. Eek. Predatory aggression, Old Testament battles. Talks about some of the archetypes of this energy. The struggle between the impulses of self-preservation and transcendence, or between one's personal will and the divine will. And I see that because Pluto's kind of, again, you're being purpose for some. All this Aquarius is now living. I'm an Aquarius rising through a Pluto transit, like the Capricorns did before us. We are living into a time of being purpose for something much more bigger than us. Like, not my will, but thy will is a good expression for those of us being activated as Aquarians, particularly rising sun and moon as well by Pluto over the next 2 decades. But as we go back into the concept of the difficult energies between those planets, I want you to take a screenshot. Let me pull this up for you. I want to give you a chart to keep track of the cycle in your life. Most of you know that I'm a teaching astrologer. It's my passion. And I like to teach you to fish. I don't want to give you fish. So in this regards, you can fish your own stories out of the sky. I'm showing you here. This is what we call a synodic cycle. When 2 planets come together by virtue of our position on Earth as we witness the sky, we call that a conjunction. And from that period of a conjunction, there will be a separation of time until the next such conjunction, when we break the sky down into 12 segments called the zodiacal constellations. And in whole sign houses, one sign is one whole sign house, which is the ancient tradition. Now, February 14th, 2024, Pluto and Mars became co-joined together at 0 degrees of Aquarius. Mars was conjunct Pluto. So this is the beginning of the Mars-Pluto conjunction series through Aquarius in earnest, where it continues to stay in the sign of Aquarius as opposed to testing the waters and then backing out. And so from February 14th of 2024 until January the 27th of 2026, we have a 2-year story broken down into major plot turning points, as you can see here. In this case, I've itemized these turning points in 5 separate ways. 6 if we include the original conjunction. 7 if we include the ending in January of 2026. So in February of 2024, when Pluto and Aquarius came together, it initiated something. It gave us a beginning of some story. And I noticed that, and so did many other astrologers, that the beginning of the story seemed to have a lot to do with Russia and US animosity vis-a-vis the war in Ukraine, and eventually what I termed nuclear saber rattling. And so rather than me, okay, I hope you can still see that I made it smaller. I wrote on Substack about this in November. And from my article, I will remind you, you can check Substack below, where I write about Pluto Chronicles. And a lot of it's free, some of it's paid if you want more intimate contact with me there. But go check out Substack as well. February 14th at 2000, it's called the Pluto Chronicles. Lori Lothian. February 14th, 2024. There was a conjunction. And what happened was the United States on that day warned that Russia was developing space nukes, nuclear weapons that could be deployed in space. So we have the theme of Russia-US animosity and space weapons that are nuclear. Now, you'll see that the next time we have a conjunction in the month of June, we're talking about on the 11th, there was a conjunction. I'm sorry, I didn't tell you what the angles were, but what it is on June the 11th is called the opening square. So on June 11th, 2024, Mars was moving through the sign of Taurus, squaring Pluto. So we have the opening act, in essence, of what this story is for. Of course, Mars is not in great shape, I think you know, in Taurus. He's in a sign that belongs to Venus. It's called his detriment. But what happened on the 11th of June was there was a show of bravado. Russia sent warships to Cuba, and it reminded everyone of the echo chamber of the Bay of Pigs in the 1960s, the Cuban Missile Crisis that was handled by President John Kennedy. And what happened with that is that it literally led to people getting under their desks and panicking and being afraid, like doing drills. What happened under the desk? Finding bunkers, trying to imagine what would happen if a nuclear war broke out between the two nations, between the United States and Russia. So we had a replay, an echo chamber on June 11th of the United States and Russia in that sort of Bay of Pigs vibration. And of course, Russia was just showing a display of force because of the Ukraine war situation. And so what happened next was November the 3rd, 2024. What we had is an opposition between the two planets. At that time, Mars was at the end of Cancer and Pluto was at the end of Capricorn. And Vladimir Putin met with the North Korean foreign minister at the Kremlin. So now North Korea is getting into the act, and in fact, later on led to soldiers from North Korea participating in the Ukraine war on the field. However, also in the wake of that, there was a huge amount of conversation going on where Russia was saying in many different ways that Vladimir Putin directly in news through news outlets that it was willing to go to nuclear war should the United States interfere with the war in Ukraine. So there was verbal threats of nuclear wars, missiles being used by the Russian people or by the Russian government. So there was intensity building up again. In January, on the 3rd, we had yet another one of these particularly difficult oppositions. This time, it was actually Mars moving through Leo direct opposite Pluto in the sign of Aquarius. That January 3rd gave way to a couple of things. First of all, that was the day that someone blew up their car, the Cybertruck attack on Trump. Now, I was at the Trump Hotel, and the driver exploded his Tesla Cybertruck outside the International Hotel in Las Vegas on that day. So literally, that was January 2nd. The opposition was exact on the 3rd. And honestly, that's exactly the kind of thing that happens with Pluto and Mars. It's often terrorist attacks. It's literally often that, or attempts at unaliving, et cetera, et cetera. So there was that energy there, but also you might remember the wildfires in Los Angeles that sparked on the 7th of January. I find it interesting that Mars was kind of in the explosive heat and the intensity of Leo fire opposite We the People Aquarius and Pluto and wealthy people. And of course, there's wealthy people in the Pacific Palisades and places where the fire ravaged. And my suspicion is still that that was a fire started on purpose because the energy of kind of malicious intent and ruthless brutality and, the terrorist quality of Mars and Pluto opposition happening up until the 3rd, like January 1st to the 3rd. And then by the 7th, there's these wildfires sparking. I just want to say it's suspicious. Now, you think why wildfires? Mars was in Cancer because the fire hydrants were dry. The reservoirs were dry. And that's a problem because literally Mars dries water out in the sign of Cancer or causes tsunamis, etc. So that's the story so far. And then what happens next? That's the big question. Well, guys, what happens next is to be determined. But we're looking at right in our face coming up on April the 27th. Oh my God, did I say in the beginning of the video the 14th to the 21st? I don't have time to edit this baby. Okay, I meant the 21st to the 27th. April 21st to the 27th. Hopefully people will figure it out. April 21st to the 27th. We are having this storyline activate. 3 degrees of Leo, Mars is moving direct. And he will go opposite Pluto and Aquarius. Just reminding you of the kinds of things that happen here. The nuclear saber rattling threats, they're going to be there. I am sure of it. And I wonder too, I think back on around January 3rd, around that time, there was probably a particularly intense event regarding Russia. I do remember looking at it for another video, and it had to do with the deployment of U.S. missiles into Ukraine into Russia by Ukraine. Okay, that's my memory serves me. I'll check that for us right now. Let me do that. just to make sure I get it right. On another video, I talked about a electrical facility being damaged during the war, so infrastructure damage. And one of the biggest worries, of course, is that there is a nuclear power site in Ukraine. And if we're going to go back with this nuclear theme, my biggest worry would be that. I also saw that back around January 3rd that week, when Pluto was in the opposition to Mars across Leo and across Aquarius, there was a huge funding of $2.5 billion bill passed by Congress for Ukraine. And Zelensky said he's not going to give up any land to Russia, no matter what. And the rest of the Western world has to buck up and support the overturn of the war problem. So yeah, more of that stuff. So money is Pluto and wealth and funding, but I think it really is something to do with the threat of the nuclear energy. So what could possibly go wrong? What misadventure, misfire could happen? That's my biggest concern. Not so much that Russia would drop a nuclear device, but rather that there could be an accidental or not accidental targeting of a nuclear reactor. All right, so let's sorry guys, life isn't a bed of roses, right? Not always anyway. A bowl of cherries. The Sabian symbol, we're going to do your sign. The Sabian symbol here is important. Oh, by the way, we have an election in Canada. I'm going to do another video, and I have called Carney the winner like 4 videos already. Not Carney, sorry. Oof. Hopefully that's not a Freudian. I think it's going to be Polyev, but not a majority government. There was a poll today that showed that conservatives eking ahead of the liberals. But I will say one thing about it, is neck and neck, and it is very, very still, I think, like a coin toss in play. But the other thing I want to mention, as Mars moves into Leo, he moves towards the Jupiter that belongs to the conservative candidate Pierre Poilievre, and it's going to be very powerful because Mars will touch his Jupiter on the election day, more or less, and that's a sign of strength. And so Mars Jupiter is like commander in chief energy, so it does benefit Pierre Poilievre that Mars is moving into the sign of Leo and opposite what, of course, Pluto, and that's Poilievre's second house, 8th house axis. But if we put Jupiter in the first house, which is a technique, what would Jupiter want? Jupiter says, I'm going to fight my plutocrat, my wealthy opponent. And Mark Carney is an investment banker type guy or whatever. He was a Bank of Canada, Bank of England guy, but he also Brookfield Assets, moved to New York. He's a millionaire, billionaire type, and has a bunch of vested interests and loans from China. And he basically is a powerful, wealthy man, whereas Pierre Poilievre is an average kind of everyday Canadian who grew up in humble origins, So it's a working class and rural kind of vibe, a little like when Trump first won, against the aristocracy energy. But it's funny to see that Mars in Leo, the sign of the aristocrat, conjuncting Jupiter that belongs to Pierre Poilievre, would be at his advantage against the wealthy and the powerful. So we shall see what happens on the election day itself. April 28th, I'll have another video coming out. The Sabian symbol here is important. Leo 4 degrees, a man formally dressed and a deer with its horns folded, like subservience. Some of the key words are domination, power control, command, mastery, authority, rulership, and self-assertion, formality, overshadowing or submission, giving in, acceptance, subservience, obeisance, respect, reverence, and obedience. So, there's literally this kind of vibration of a very formally dressed male and an animal with horns sort of being subservient. I find that a fascinating image, really, that's going to be happening around the 27th of April. I mean, when that opposition happens, when I think of political power structures and subservience, if anybody in the comments know of any nations in which the image of a deer or a buck or a stag or any animal with horns, a ram, it's a part of the national identity, let me know. Like, I know we think of Russia and a bear, and I know we think of eagle and United States, but it may be actually sometimes Sabians can be extremely eerily literal. Canada we're the beaver. We have a beaver, but we do have a lot of reindeers, and we have a lot of those kinds of horned animals roaming in the tundra. All right, so let's go ahead and do your sign. Today, for your sign, I'm going to talk about your extraordinary determination and willpower, where you are unstoppable. I love the quote that I'm going to use for your sign because, yes, I will bring up conflict. You may encounter conflict. But I'm also going to talk about that Sabian, that quote, the soul to dare kind of thing. Where did it go? Because that just inspires the whole heck out of me. How do you guys feel about that Pluto quote from Renn Butler? Pluto, Pluto, where are you? Mars, Pluto, Mars, Pluto. I loved it myself. And Mars, Pluto quote is, here we go. Ready? Mars Pluto. I will get there. The will to do and the soul to dare. Walter Scott, born with a Mars trine Pluto. Do you have the will to do and the soul to dare? All right. Will and soul, the will to do and the soul to dare, with extraordinary, unstoppable determination in some area of your life as a result of this. But at the same time, are you confronted with something that you must deal with that goes back to like mostly to January 3rd? Because although the opposition was here in the sign of Cancer in November, it was in Cancer and Capricorn, and it's not the same energy at all as what we're having here. And just to remind you, because I probably forgot, that the story ends in January, but we have one more square on September 24th with Mars at 1 degree of Scorpio, opposite squaring Pluto in the sign of Aquarius. Mars is strong in Scorpio. So September 24th, you may have some really sort of grand crescendo of power and strength in the Scorpio part of your sky in whole sign houses. I'm an Aquarius rising. This is my 10th house. Mars will be my 10th house of career, squaring Pluto in my first house. It's all about the story that started in Aquarius back in February. So as I go through all signs, I will remind you of the synodic cycle so you understand that what began in February in Aquarius is completing at the final turning points of April 27th and September 24th and winding down by January of 2026. Alrighty, I'm just going to do myself a favor. Now, I think I can remember it. April to September 24th, January 27th. All right, I think I got it locked in my brain. Let's go ahead and do your sign. Hope this mic is all adjusted. I'm going to bring this chart up and we're starting with Aries. Please like and subscribe if you don't mind. It really helps the channel grow. I would appreciate that so very, very much. That little push of the subscription button matters. I know that I lose subscribers when I talk political astrology or world astrology. Sometimes you guys just don't want to hear it, but I give you the good news and I give you the all signs and I give you the upbeat stuff as well. I give you my spiritual perspective on things. I'm a bit of a Jill of all angles of the astrology, but please hit that like button. I'm having my normal sub stump. It's every March. It's third week of March to third week of April. All right. And then third week of May to third week of June. And then same thing in September and December. This is YouTube's bot scrub. But I've talked to a lot of you. You comment, oh, I've been unsubscribed. I've been subscribing for 5 years. I watch you every week. Go check that you're still subscribed. You're probably not. I can tell because I can watch like the numbers just go like this, like 15 subscribers disappear all at once, even when I didn't just put something out. And I know that. They told me that. I have a YouTube manager. I've called for customer service. They do this. They think they're scrubbing fake accounts out. Okay. But they're not. They're usually scrubbing you guys out. So here we have it, guys. This is the sky. It's starting. You know what? Could I just go for a break and do something different? Let's start with Leo rising because it's happening in your sign. What the hell? Leo rising, Leo sun and moon separately. Why would you listen to all three? Well, everyone remember this. I say it every time. I don't know how else to say it. Your ascendant is your character in the game of life. If this is a simulation, it's the avatar. If this is a movie screenplay, this is a movie, that's the role you're playing. Your actor self is the sun, or your eternal essence or the game player is the sun of the chart. But the sun can also point you towards matters to do with career and reputation. When we listen for your sun sign, we pretend that we've rotated your sun sign and sun to the first house as if it's your ascendant. That's how astrology works. When you're doing your moon sign, we pretend the moon is in the first house. The moon is your mind, emotions, your feelings, thoughts about life. It could represent matters to do with your nest in your home. I just had an eclipse to my moon. My landlord gave notice a week before saying I have to move. She's selling the house. My home was eclipsed. 18 years ago, eclipse happened to my moon in the same place. My home was eclipsed. 18 years before that, an eclipse to my moon and my home was eclipsed. So your moon can be about your home. Let's talk about Leo. Let's talk about you. Let's talk about this sky. I don't want to go back to talk about how rare it is for you. I've done that in multiple videos, but you are going through a very rare time in which you've had a ton on, like just put a video out on this Mars going into Leo about a week, 2 weeks before this. You can still go watch it. It's an important one for you. Mars is in Leo until February the 17th. So let's keep that story aside because it's so rare and you should listen to it. But this is a time where around the 27th, you're going to notice, I'm going to go back to the 27th, which happens to be, I'm recording this before I go away on a vacation kind of thing. I'm recording this on Monday, April 14th, which is why I said the 14th instead of the 21st when I started this video. April the 27th is a Sunday. And so it is the week ahead video for this week because you're going to feel the Mars thing building all week long. And this is the biggest thing about this week ahead. And therefore, Leos, all week long, there's like a Jaws background music. Kavum, 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 right? This is like, what the hell am I doing with this Mars Pluto opposition energy? You are going to battle, or you're extremely formidably willpowered up with the soul to dare, right? Why can't I remember that quote for the life of me? Honestly, like, why can't I remember? Why can't I remember? It's like I love it and I can't remember it. The will to dare and the soul to do. Sorry, Leo. Sorry, Leo, you have to be first, which means I don't know what I'm saying. Let me find it. One more. Here we go. The will to do and the soul to dare. You have the will to do and the soul to dare. Well, it's coming off of that lunation, and that's another part of the story. I did cover that in one of my moon videos already, but you have the will to do and the soul to dare, something connected to January the 3rd. When Mars and Pluto are opposite each other. And it's about what you're trying to create from that Aquarius reset button that started in February that doesn't finish until January of 2026. So this is like, what are you trying to create in your Aquarius sky, which is long-term committed love relationships, bonding partnerships, things to do with business partnerships, how you meet your audience and marketplace. Because like Donald Trump, he's bringing in those plutocrats, right? And those powerful, wealthy people from Silicon Valley to support him. Pluto in the 7th house, but he could also bring ominous Darth Vader-like enemies as well. And so this power structure battle. Did you know that the ascendant of China is Aquarius rising and close to where this Pluto is? So there is this battle between him and China. But what are you battling against? What are you pushing against at this point? Because this is where you're coming into a very critical turning point around this week ahead. You're going to feel it all week long. It just hits the pinnacle energy on Sunday. So don't worry about picking a date. You could find yourself in an explosive, intense energy. Now, it's the 26th, 27th. That really depends on where you live. So I'm going to pull it back to the 26th so people can see the exact numbers. And you're going to find yourself having to ante up some major decisions that you are trying to make in connection with your career. And there may be very dramatic eruptions of change regarding matters of your career, regarding matters of other people that you are literally having to go to bat against. I don't know that Pluto here is particularly harmful, given that you have such a strong sword in your hand. But what was it like for you in January? Did you have a spousal disagreement of great magnitude? This one's definitely going to bring in the new moon that's occurring in the 10th house the next day, which will create a T-square to that sun. What are you going to birth anew in your career and reputation? And reputation is a good word, because when we say I'm divorced, I'm separated, I'm married, that's how we announce to the world our social standing and status. It's high noon. And there may be a very exciting and dramatic change in your social standing and your social status. And as this week progresses, you'll also notice that Venus is opposite the south node on the north node with Saturn. I don't even know where to begin. What a week we have ahead of us. This is an incredibly powerful sky. You might find yourself wanting to radically erupt, radically break free of some kind of financial constriction. I'm going to get a divorce. I'm going to sell my property. I'm going to, Mars rules your 4th house of property. I'm going to bust out of the chains of my own karmic patterns. I'm going to stop that, pattern. I'm going to recognize a pattern of self-harm to my finances, my self-worth, my self-value. And it may sometimes even connect to silly patterns to with taxes, insurances, and governing banking monies, monies from governments, that kind of chunky money. And you just want to bust free of something in a surprising and exciting way. since Mars is involved, you're making decisions and taking actions. No one's the boss of you. You're in charge of what you're doing this week. Are you putting the nail on the coffin on that relationship that doesn't work? Are you getting ready to sell the property? Are you going to bust out and take some money off of a financial table so that you can, increase your financial gain? Sell a stock. I don't know what, but it's all very exciting, all very intense. Some of it will remind you of things that went on in the first week of January. If you'd like to compare, you might get some traction from thinking about approximately New Year's Eve to January 3rd. Thanks for listening, Leo. And like and subscribe if you don't mind. It helps this channel grow. Thank you. And I will move on. Oh, I can't move on. It's not letting me, but I will figure it out. So, Virgo, the week ahead is dominated by the energy that's pulsing in the background. It's all week long. You're really feeling it build to a crescendo on the 26th, 27th. And it's really important to note that this energy is it's first in a lifetime in this manner. Go back to the first week of January, especially around the 1st to the 3rd. Where was the tension around your work? Where was there power struggles? Where was there people who didn't have your back, hidden enemies, Mars in the 12th, fighting against your success? Did you have legal disputes and legal actions coming up as well? But whatever it is, it's really pitting you against others that can also seem like they're your friend. Like they're coming out of the woodwork and showing you their true stripes. So be careful for that sense of, don't even be careful. You'll just notice like, oh my God, that person's not my friend, or that's not someone who really has my back. Colleague, coworker scuffles, boss and employment scuffles, employees that are treacherous, these kinds of things. Mars is fond of thievery. So, someone stealing from the coffers at work and, it's to your disadvantage. Well, one of the things about Mars in the 12th house, he wants to quit you from addictions. He's like, forget it. You don't need that wine. You don't need that woman in song. You don't need the thing you sniff, the thing you ingest, the thing that's bad for you. Any addictions you've got going. Pluto and Mars is the unstoppable determination and the willpower, the will to do and the soul to dare to let them go and quit. Maybe you tried in January, maybe made some momentum. Here we go to do it again. This is the last chance saloon. And ultimately, what's happening between Mars and Pluto started, of course, in February of 2024 with the conjunction in Aquarius. You're really trying to help yourself get a better job, increase your wages and money, go dynamically forward in joyful work that is prosperous. You want to increase your health because this is a very important axis of health. And so you're looking for new exercise and new ways to work out. It's funny. It literally looks like you got on powerlifting or started doing some kind of new workout routine in February. And this continues the story of better health protocols and better health routines. That said, unstoppable willpower and drive. If you want to get looking at the idea, however, that there will be a new moon in Taurus in your 9th house, there could be critical turning points regarding human resources, academic settings, like colleges and campuses, foreign land travel, and work connected matters, especially if you're in the publishing industry of any kind. But you might come into a critical sort of tension this week. Oh, I don't know what to say about it. It's building up towards the moon on the 27th. Something to do with an authority figure or father figure. One way this could play out is a father figure could go into the hospital, be ill, or have a really challenging health challenge, because that could look like this in your chart. Just so you know. Okay. And that could be something that comes up for some of you in this week ahead. Father figures, great Uncle Joe, Grandpa, John, or your father, or, something like that. Some authority figure in a health challenge. You may have a critical turning point in a legal case with a court and a judge coming off this week as well, where there's a final determination of what is what. I want to mention, of course, that Venus is in your 7th house of the long-term committed love this week, and she's flowing to, Uranus for an exciting surprise. So if there is a change of status with judges, legal courts, you may be surprised by it. There may be an element of surprise, but this could be a surprise that involves your love partner. And with Venus and Saturn, love endures, love is hard, love lasts, love takes work. It's hard work, but you or your partner may be very extra determined to pull off a kind of celebratory surprise in how well you love each other because of a trip to a foreign land, which you put in the 10th house. This can look like a wedding proposal or a proposal to move in together, an up-leveling on a getaway to a before and sure of the relationship's success in a surprising way. This is happening all week long. And so I'm not going to say any particular date. It's the story of the week ahead. Libra, sun, moon, and rising, reminding you in the live premiere that we started with Leo. Libra, sun, moon, and rising. Wow. Like, you got to go back, to the 1700s to get the sky for you. But this is a powerful dynamic of two difficult planets in positive houses. Mars in your 11th house of good spirit is going to battle against Pluto in the 5th house of romantic love, sexual love, and children. Now, let's take it a deeper level. Pluto's in what brings you pleasure? What brings you joy and inspiration? He wants you to plumb the depths of your soul to find out. Mars is cutting out those friends that are no good for you, those social groups that really don't allow for the fulfillment of this transformative expression of your muse and your artistic creativity and your entrepreneurial wealth. If you want to be entrepreneurial, Pluto will help you in the next 20 years. And this energy is like combustive, explosive. You might have a big falling out with a friend. Some of you may quit your job. Maybe you get fired, laid off, whatever, because the gains of the 11th, the 10th come from the 11th. There's those massive explosive changes trying to happen. What was going on in that part of your sky that I've described back around the first week of January? It's back again. You planted a seed in Aquarius. That was what you did in February of 2024. That doesn't expire till January of 26. You're trying to birth a new beginning of something transformative and powerful in your 5th house. If you're not an entrepreneur, it's time to do it. If you're not an actively artistic, engaged performer, artist, it's time to start. If you're thinking of new romantic love, well, you're looking for the transformation love. And if you're already in a relationship, are you activating some transformative connections of power and passion with romance and love? Time to spice it up. This can be very BDSM, FYI. Now, I think that you might want to pay attention to a friend that literally is going to cut out. Like, this is the kind of week where you can see the end of a friendship. It's not inspiring you. It's not bringing you joy. It's not the right thing. And so that's one way this week may show up for you. Venus all week long as well forms an opposition to the node of fate, south, conjunct the north with Saturn, but sextiling Uranus. Now, sextiling Uranus is positive surprises, by the way. Don't be afraid of that. But it's active, pretty well active all in the backdrop all this week ahead, and was there last week as well. So where are you going to get a positive surprise to do with money and work? Chunky money, ad revenue, royalty income, maybe an unexpected money debt repayment. You could pay off a debt all at once. Credit card debt gets paid down instantly. There may be some positive energy going on this week around that kind of thing as well. Because this Mars-Pluto opposition also aims on the 27th to a new moon in the 8th house, fresh, new, powerful beginnings are emerging. And when how you handle your wealth and money, and will father figure type energy, sun in the 8th house, maybe a father figure may give you some money, pass on some wealth to you for some reason. Saturn rules the family of origin. He's helping you maybe have surprising debt elimination possibilities or something like that. So, or a stock takes off and you're really surprised at how much financial wellness you can get out of that. I wouldn't invest right now. The markets are, beginning of a bear tumble, I would say, but just keep in mind, this looks very much like positive money matters are expressing through your sky this week ahead that are surprising as well. Hey, Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising. Give me a sip of my kombucha. Hang on. Well, what can I say? Certainly, it's angular. It's Mars in the 10th house, high noon at the OK Corral. Pluto in the 4th house of the midnight hour. You home alone. What are you doing home alone at night by yourself? This energy opens up a kind of tension between things you're doing in the public eye and things you're doing for your work and things you want to do or are doing in the home. Obviously, a domestic dispute may emerge from this, but it's connected to your ambition or your actions at work, or you quit your job or you get fired and now you're having arguments in the home or power struggles in the home. Whatever this is, it kind of looks intense. And because it's angular, meaning it's also squaring you and squaring your marriage house, your marriage, your long-term committed love relationship, your audience and business partners are under the same intensity. In fact, there will be a lunation there on the 27th. And that's a Sunday, and it really could look like a massive, intense energetic in a long-term committed love relationship, but you would have experienced something sort of similar around first 3 or 4 days of January. Go back and compare, but you didn't have a sun in the seventh, so it's not exactly the same. Sun and then eventually moon. I don't know. I want you to consider that you may end up being laid off or quitting a job under this kind of pressure cooker. That's what it looks like. But on the other hand, with Venus, Saturn, and the North Node in your fifth house flowing to Uranus, you could also have some extreme luck, especially money luck, like winning a lottery ticket. And or maybe some really powerful success with a creative or artistic project that you've been working on. There's something that wants to really surprise you in a financially delightful way. Are you single looking for love? I guess I could say this is a week to be surprised by an exciting new love relationship coming into your world. That wouldn't be too far off the mark. And finally, I've said this a few times for you guys, unexpected pregnancy surprise. You never know, that could happen here as well. If I had to give you advice about how to deal with that Mars at the top of the sky, if a boss is shouting at you, can you take the high road? Practice some nonviolent communication. If they want to let you go with the flow. Something good is trying to happen. You're being tasked to something better. This is not for you. Hey, Jupiter's in your eighth house. You're going to be fine. You'll be financially okay. The severance package will be amazing. The unemployment insurance will cover your ass. You're going to be all right if you have to leave a job leaves you, or whatever. Thanks for listening. Scorpio, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Remember, we started with Leo if you're in the live premiere, so we're going to have to circle around back to Aries. So Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. I did really a stupid thing because that just totally screws up my live premiere, but I don't care. So Sagittarius, and then you Pisces will be happy. Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising sign who always feel somehow ripped off. Victim, martyr, savior complex is a Pisces thing. So I can't count the Pisces who complain that they're last or that they get not enough time or my reading is too tired and they don't feel the vibe. Holy victim, savior complex, guys, take a chill, right? Pisces love you, but the world's not out to get you. All right. So Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Well, first of all, if you had a religion, you might have quit it by now. November, December, Mars in your religion house. But anyway, opposite Pluto in the third. There's major explosive energy here across the axis. It's travel oriented, long distance travel and proximity to home travel. So I'd say be cautious. If you're a traveling Sag, and this is anytime from the 21st to the 27th of the month, please be careful. You're probably under the volcano. You know what I mean? Like, just be cautious. Don't do anything risky. And don't secure your safe in the room. Mars rules thieving and thievery of money, Pluto wealth. Be careful about your pocketbook. Be careful with your plans. You have a plan, don't stop it because of a general astrology reading. Of course not, but be aware. That aside, you may find that this is a time in which you are cutting away from, ending and severing something about your beliefs. And Mars is opposite Pluto for the transformation about your beliefs, changing because of the sky. You planted a seed. Well, first of all, and you felt this the first week of January. It's not brand new. You planted a seed in Aquarius. And that means that everything that's happening, and I gave you a chart in the beginning, watch the intro, and also back in September, there's going to be another turning point. But you planted a seed in the Aquarius sky of February of 24. And that seed wants you to transform your abilities and your world when it comes to matters to do with the third house, social media, things to do with learning and teaching, skills-based learning, teaching, neighbors and neighborhood, and the sibling one younger than you, aunts, uncles, cousins, transformation, rebirth and regeneration, change. Mars, you want to make changes there. Some of you may move because of this. Some of you may decide to travel a lot because of this. But with this energy that was seeded in February of 24 and completing in January of 26, Mars is bringing you to a pressure point, right? And that pressure point, you felt it in the first 3 days of January. And now it's back again. What is going on? What happened in January, the beginning of January? Did you take a trip abroad? Did you plan a trip? Are you going to do another one? Did you have to go to battle legally over something? Mars is in the house of courts. Did you make some major choices or changes in your belief structure, your faith, and your religion? These are ideas, With this particular opposition, it's bringing up the sun in a T square on the 27th. Is close enough to count that, because the next day there's going to be a T square while Mars and Pluto are still opposite each other. That T square into their sixth house could really fracture or break something to do with job and work and career, especially with the South Node in the 10th house. You're going to quit your job, change your career, get fired or fire your employee. Those are thoughts. You may also have some major changes regarding pets. Maybe difficulties. Your pet can't travel with you like you had hoped. No more dogs on the plane. With Venus doing such a sweet job in your fourth house, she's trying to bring you serenity and endurance in love and home matters. She's trying to show you that it's okay to expand your home, change your home, or build a home. And as she's down in that fourth, a beautiful home and a beautiful street with a proud flag. Only Canadians will get the joke. And as Venus is down there with Saturn in the North Node in the fourth house, she is giving you a positive surprise, an unexpected, surprising rental opportunity as a landlord or a tenant, unexpected, surprising pet opportunity, unexpected, surprising opportunity for financial debt repayment plans connected to grandparents or elders connected to your family of origin. Who knows? But those things look good on you as well. This is a story that's happening all week long, side by side, with the Pluto-Mars opposition in the backdrop. Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising sign. I'm getting wiggly here. Excuse me. Let me try propping myself up on a pillow. Oh, this is a smooshy sofa, so it's not comfortable, and it doesn't have a backbone underneath it or something. I didn't buy the sofa. It's a rental property. It's furnished, so I'd buy a little firmer sofa. Okay. Whoo. Continuing. If you're a Capricorn, this is about the money. Now, you've been dealing with this opposition on the money axis already. You had this opposition here between houses 2 and 8 in the first week of January. And what kind of financial considerations were happening? Stock markets, banking, alimony, spousal support, finances connected to investments and retirement fund investments, money connected to inheritances, money connected to other people's money, shared resources, unearned income. So this was a very intense energy. I don't know if it was driving you to determination and willpower back then, or if it was actually a struggle, a power struggle regarding financial matters the first few days of January. Any of those are possible. Certainly Mars is really good at going to battle for you if you need to, but he could also mean let's divide, cut, separate assets. Like you take the sofa, I'll take the car when people get divorced. So there could be separation of financial assets at this time as well. And now it's back again. I often see this kind of extended Mars energy when people are going through these sorts of divorces and settlements as well. And so keep in mind that that's maybe just more of what you had in the first week of January. But Pluto is all about that power and control and divine willpower versus the petty willpower of Mars, the mortal willpower, individual willpower. How are you dealing with willpower and struggles with money matters, Capricorn? I don't know that you are going to be able to compare this exactly to January because we have a sun moon energy making a T square in your fifth house, indicating money conflicts may also emerge or difficulties this week with children, maybe children who need your money. You have to assist an adult child, money battles with romantic partners. Financial challenges regarding disputes over lottery wins, money challenges regarding things to do with art and creative projects. You're trying to seed something new anyway, right? February of 24 to January of 26. This is a part of the larger conjunction that happened in Aquarius between Pluto and Mars back in February 24. On Valentine's Day. Aquarius is your money house. Go back to around Valentine's Day of 24. What the hell were you trying to do with your finances? Because everything about this is to work out the earnings, resources, savings part of the chart. There's really no other way to parse this other than to say you could be ill from bad food style. So be careful. Mars is poisoning. Second house is what you put in your mouth. Be careful. Do not get food poisoning off of this. But that's a temporary problem, right? We got something much more archetypal going on here. Spiritual awakening, moksha, and liberation can be the eighth house. It's a level of disidentification from your ego and your finite self. You might be having a bit of a breakthrough there. That's a possibility. You never know. The fifth house is divine willpower energies and creative energies. So maybe you're having a spiritual renaissance. That would be the positive side here. Because Venus is in such a nice stellium in your third house all week long with Saturn in the North Node, and she's flowing in a conversation to Uranus, look for some unexpected positive money surprises. Whatever's going on here, I think you're going to find it rather delightful. I don't think you're going to see this as a hardship. So you could go, oh, I won the lottery. Oh, I got some unexpected good fortune, Uranus in the fifth house with a creative project or entrepreneurial business project. Some positive sweet spots in travel to local or domestic or short distances, certainly within your country or continent at the most, could lead to some extremely positive surprises April 21st to the 27th. And some positive financial good fortunes may come from aunts, uncles, cousins, nieces, nephews, or siblings on the last week of April. So that's another backstory that you might want to pay attention to. Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising sign. Well, we're almost there. We're going to get halfway around this wheel at the whatever. We're going to get there. Aquarius is sort of like, oh, you're Pluto, you're Darth Vader, you're mafia bossing out. You've suffered no fools gladly. You are carrying the divine willpower vibration through your own essence. And you're looking across at the trolls. For one thing, Mars's trolls over there. Last time this happened in January for me, it was the trolls from hell coming off the US election, because although I had more or less indicated I thought Harris would win, I had done a horary 2 days before that said no, Trump would win. And I kept the horary to my 500 Patreons and didn't share it with the world. I couldn't win. I was damned if I didn't. Damned if I didn't. I was the Democrats dumped me like a hot potato, massive subs dump. Everyone was angry. The trolls were evil. And my Patreon community knew that I got it right at the end. But what was funny about that is then the Republicans were angry at me too, because I hadn't disclosed that I knew Trump would win, blah, blah, blah. It was a nightmare. So here we are. I'm going to be very careful on this Carney election. Hopefully it's redemptive, Carney and Polyev in Canada, because I'll be doing a horary, believe me, divination tool in astrology. But as you are an Aquarius like me, look to the other people with swords and they're aiming them at you. Maybe you're like sword throwers, where you put a woman against a board and a magician whacks those swords around her body. Try to imagine that you are not going to have a sword touch you, because swords are coming your way. You are being attacked by something, someone, somewhere. This is aggressive energy. This could be trolls. This could be someone wanting to like launch a suit. This could be, unfortunately, someone who would like want to cause you physical harm. So be very careful the 21st of April or so through to about the 28th, 29th. Just lay low. Don't take on a bully. Don't go into the supermarket and try to break up a fight between two guys because you think you can do it. But I've done that before. But don't this time. You're going to maybe get into a harm's way. Your partner in love, your partner in marriage, might be really angry or very contentious or very upset or very wanting to separate from the relationship. And maybe even this just indicates a separation, because sometimes it's geographical separation. But it could also be like, I want to separate for good. Like, let's get unmarried. Let's get unhooked. Let's stop being together. And your stance here is Pluto. You kind of are bigger than that. So you're probably going to be okay. I can take it. Like, what works for you can work for me. I don't know. Some of you may not want that. We'll see where it goes. With Pluto Mars opposition here, like the first week of January, this time around, we have a square to the Sun Moon combination in the fourth house. Whatever's going on this last week of April could also change where you live. Now, it doesn't have to happen this week, because this moon will also unfold over the course of 6 months, but it could be a very intense battle around legal matters to do with home, a tense confrontation with a significant business or love partner that has implications down the road for where you live. That's what I'm getting. You planted a new seed in Aquarius. You are transforming yourself into a Pluto Mars being every 2 years for the next 2 decades. You will do this conjunction. February 4th, Valentine's Day. Look at your schedule. Look at your phone calls. Look at your photos that day. What were you up to? Because now this is really the seed that is fulfilling a powerful, directed, ambitious, dynamic You are the one that has the will to do and the soul to dare, the will to do and the soul to dare. And you're trying to learn to be that energy. So what goes on this week is teaching you how to do that. Don't forget, there's a Scorpio square in September, and this whole journey of 2 years, the synodic cycle ends in 2026, January, before it starts again. I love Venus in your second house. I don't think you're going to mind this. I mean, all week long, she's with Saturn North Node. Sure, the 24th, 25th, she's wedged between Saturn and the North Node, but I found that to be really good for my finances. So you might find yourself increasing financial success this week as well. And you might find it really a lovely, exciting way that you're sort of getting a financial glow up. And also, there may be some positive developments with your family. That means your children, your husband, even your family you grew up with. They're kind of connected to second house matters as well. So you might find yourself having a glow up in your family of origin and good news happening there that surprises you. That could include the announcement of a fertility moment where with Jupiter in your fifth house, or one of your children is pregnant. You might also notice that you have this sextile to Uranus in the fourth as well. That's the pregnancy surprise for a family member, but it also could, especially a child, but it also can look like a very positive financial opportunity or surprise connected to earnings, money, and resources and home. Now, if you do the internet from home like I do, it could be a viral video hit, for example, right? Where the ad revenue goes ka-ching, ka-ching. But it also can be an unexpected surprise regarding your property and where you live, and money matters. Like, for example, I'm playing a children's hospital lottery that gives me a free home, or I can take the cash. This is so like this sky, especially with Saturn ruling the 12th house of hospitals with lucky Venus on the North Node of fate. So, squaring Jupiter in the house of lottery wins with Uranus saying, surprise, you've got a new home. I'll let you know if that happens, but look for some positive surprises connected to home, property, real estate, and finances. Not too shabby this week ahead. All right, Pisces, sun, moon, and rising. I think you need to get up and walk around before I continue with this video. I'm halfway through. I did start this video. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I started with Leo. It looks to me like you're having a story here that wants you to consider the possibility that just like the first week of January, you hopefully didn't injure yourself like my sister who fell. Do not injure yourself again. However, you may want to change your diet. You may want to radically revise your health protocols. You might try a new form of exercise. You might decide that you're going to get very cardiovascular, but there's an intense propulsion with the soul, with you having this will to do and the soul to dare to really up your game when it comes to your diet, your health, and your health matters. And that's exciting, especially if you want to take on a new food style and you really want to stick with it, or you're taking on a new exercise protocol. And you may have struggled to do that the first week of January because this is the second pass, and the last pass, you can probably pull it off. You may have some legal battles here. This is disputes and legal actions, and you might have to go back into some legal battle that was already here in January. Now you want to get through this battle and complete it. Because this time around, we also end up with a square to the sun and the moon, T-square in your third house. You may have a sort of a power struggle regarding matters to do with disputes and legal matters and neighbors. Disputes and legal matters and siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins, and nephews and nieces. Third house is the online world, and you could have some major breakthrough in the work you do connected to the online world and marketing, selling, and websites and things like that. A travel plan that you wanted to take could be disrupted this week. And so travel plans may fall awry with this T-square to the third house. Ultimately, the moon on the 27th is going to unfold a story that lasts 6 months. So we're not going to cover all angles of that story today, but understand that some of the tension you're feeling this week of the 21st to the 28th of the month of April will come back to be revisited in the course of the 6 months ahead. I love Venus in the first house. She's making you a new haircut, new wardrobe. You love yourself more. You're feeling more refined. You're realistic. And you know that love lasts, love endures. But your self-worth and self-value is also on the mend and on the stabilization. With her long-standing connection to Saturn, not only are you a realist, but you've got the power to last. And keep on keeping on when it comes to matters to do with your health, your body, that's for the risings, your career, if it's your Pisces sun, and matters to do with your home, if it's a Pisces moon. Venus and this trio of energy is flowing to Uranus on a well start in your house of siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins, nieces, and neighbors. If you go in a lawsuit, maybe you're going to win. Maybe kaboom, you got the grand prize of the judgment in your favor. Unexpected, exciting travel opportunities can emerge this week as well, and they may involve extended family. Maybe some extended family member wants to visit you. How surprising! Or you want to visit them. This is not too shabby for hitting a viral moment on the social media sphere. And if you're in that sphere, this is a new beginning, and it could indicate a new groundswell upwards towards more success with your channel or your Instagram or whatever place that you inhabit in the social media sphere. An electric current of success looks like it could happen here for you this week ahead. Let me know in the comments if any of you get some of that juice in your sky. Now, before I go ahead and do the rest of the signs, which are going to be Aries through to Cancer, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. And don't forget to come join me in Sky Reader. I'm going to be teaching this summer because I'm going to travel to Europe in the fall. I'm teaching this class instead of my yearly fall class. We're doing summer school, June and July. I love the idea of summer school. Kids are off. It's less stressful for everyone. You can be studying under the sun by the swimming pool. Come join me. And the early bird discount and access to the class enrollment wait list is in the description box below. Now, I'm continuing on to the next story. I think I'm just going to plow through. I really am. Oh my God. What I'm loving about being a Canadian right now is watching our social media channels that are taking off. Jasmine Lane is one of my favorites. What a powerhouse female. I'm so inspired by her. And Wyatt Claypool of the Telegraph. I think it's called the National Telegraph. Yeah, I know you guys say, oh, those are conservative outlets. I've become a conservative, guys. I was always a liberal at heart. I never voted in my country because I lived in the United States for 20 years. As I say, I'm fiscally conservative, socially progressive, but I'm also practical. Our country is bankrupt and broke and getting broker. And I don't see any policies. I'm not a person. I don't elect a person. If I was going to vote, which I've never done, but probably this year I will, I vote on policies, not people, right? I vote on the intelligent mind that I was given by God to say, will this solve the problem or will this solve the problem? And that's why I'm probably going to vote conservative in Canada. That doesn't mean I'm biased in the astrology. I'm telling the astrology like I see it. Whether I have a pro or a con against the liberal government, it doesn't matter. I'm telling you the charts like I read them, like I see it. All right. Okay. Moving on. Aries. I am one of you in the terms of I have a sun, moon, rising Aries. Listen ahead. Hey, you want to go back to January 3rd? That's when Mars and Pluto were in an opposition across the 5th house, 11th house axis. Did you have a blowout with a child? Did you have a fight with a child? Did did you need to rescue a child? Did you need to go into the life of a child, adult or not? I don't care, kindergarten child, and the teacher says they're not talking in school. We have to check it out. Something going on there, right? And also the 11th house of friends and social groups and social circles. Did you have any kind of intensity there? Often this can look like a desire to transform your social groups with unstoppable willpower and the will to do and the soul to dare to bring into your world the friends, the social groups, and the groups of belonging that soothe your soul, that bring you inspiration, that bring you a dynamic enthusiasm and a childlike excitement and wonder in life. Whether it's your art, your artistic expression, your creative projects, your entrepreneurial business, your fun, play, joy, and pleasure. We have this intensity of Mars here opposite Pluto to ask for deeper transformation in these areas of your life. But some of you just might have had a fight with a friend or a child difficulty or blowout of some sort in the first week of January. What did I do in the first week of January? I'm trying to remember. Like the first 3 or 4 days of January. Well, it'll come to me. I was going to give me as an example for my sun, which would be about my career, really, or my moon would be about my home. But for the life of me, I can't remember. I would ask you to consider that, unlike that first week of January, this has also got a T-square to this new moon that's forming in your second house. And ultimately, the tension, unlike the first week of January, wants to outpicture as a dynamic new beginning in the way you create safety and security, money and resources in your life. It's literally looking like you could dramatically, rags to riches or riches to rags, take your pick, increase that's Uranus there, your financial wellness off of this energy that happens in the week ahead. Now, yes, the 21st to the 27th, 28th, it's in play, but it's because it's hooking up with the moon, it can take 6 months to fully unfold. And it could look like entrepreneurial, artistic, or creative success with a radical upswell of your financial earnings in the next 6 months, especially if you're entrepreneurial. I do want to say, with Mars ruling your eighth house of chunky money, you may also end up with some chunks of money coming your way. Who knows how? Mars is in the house of lottery wins, but there's other ways that unearned income and other people's money come. This could be a rapid gain of royalty income money from your book, or ad revenue from YouTube, Google AdSense, or something like that. I can't tell you everyone's different, but that's a different story than just what happened January 3rd. And up to a few days before. I want to mention that Venus is moving through your 12th house with the North Node and with Saturn. This could be foreign shore lands and trips. I went away to Mexico with my girlfriend when Venus and Saturn and the North Node were really tightly bound together in an enclosure in January. And this is a story that's still here. The whole background of this week is dominated by that vibration of Venus in a sextile with Saturn and the North Node to Uranus. And this is solidifying longer-term gains in foreign land, marketplaces, and revenue from people in foreign shores, or revenue from international digital borderless revenue and income in shocking and surprising ways. So if you're an entrepreneur in the online world and you've got Jupiter in the online world third house, your digital media landscape, then you're going to have some positive financial surprises the week that comes into this week ahead. And some of them happened last week, but more so even this week as well. I forgot to mention that Mars is in the house of romantic love. And so if you have a romantic life and a romantic partner, there's a possibility of some dispute or difficulty showing up over financial matters or very hard words spoken in this week ahead. All right. I've got 3 signs to go: Taurus, Gemini, and Cancer. But for Tauruses, hey guys, how's it been having that Uranus story for so long? Getting ready to leave in 27. But you've got, off with her head, algal Medusa. I have a Taurus friend who just got a last-ditch financing in the middle of a bankruptcy situation. It looks like it's going to save his ass. It's not always bad to have wealth star algal activated in your Taurus realm. I just want to say it's not always the worst. I might give you the good news first before we talk about Mars. I think that this is a very successful week for financial gain through career. That's because of that Venus ruled stellium over there, exalted in your 11th house, and algal will start in the sign of Taurus. For you Taurus suns especially, but even rising, this looks like a nice lift in your financial wellness. I could be a raise, a promotion, a golden ticket, new job opportunity with more money, gains in your career, or an ally, friend, or benefactor, or friend with a favor, favoring you in a significant way, but it may also favor you in the financial area of your life, the financial area of your life as well. Now that's the good news. Let's go over to the tense energy that you're experiencing here. Tension in the sky. January 1st, 2nd, 3rd, Mars Pluto opposition, Leo Aquarius axis. You're trying to plant a new seed February 24th through to January 26th, new career path, new reputation, new social standing, power, new beginnings, great change. You're trying to have the will to do and the soul to dare in your 10th house of career. And as this whole story unfolds in 2 years, this is a tension point of turning oppositional energy. Are you going to have a power struggle or a confrontation between the boss, the authority, the corporation, the company you work for, and 4th house, your home, someone you live with, someone in your domestic environment? But on the other hand, Mars loves to cut, end, and sever. And are you going to quit your home, sell your home, move your home, travel far from home? That's all very possible. This is intense. Did you do any of that in January? Did you list your home for sale in January? Maybe now it's going to sell. Did you travel far from home in January, first 3 or 4 days? Now you're going to do it again. Did you have legal disputes around land, property, and real estate, especially given that Mars rules your seventh house of legal matters and contracts? Now it's back on the agenda. I don't know. Pluto just at the top of the sky is kind of like a dominant authority force of transpersonal transformation. And ultimately, as general meaning is you're trying to transform your career path over the next 2 decades. And as you're going through this death and rebirth of who you thought you were in your career space and what you really truly want to do and become, this is one of those like look in the mirror of what you want. Who are you? Because this new moon is in your sign. You want to be someone new. Your career is an extension of I am. I am an artist, then have an artistic career. I'm a business person, then have a business career. So the I am of your Taurian nature is changing so that your outpicturing of your purpose and career is changing. You're retired. I don't care. You do something that people witness you doing in the world, unless you retire to the basement of your house and lock the door. So what public reputation, action, social standing, how do you define success and ambition? That's transforming. And this new moon squaring this opposition this week ahead is important. You are transforming you so that you can be powerfully aligned with and regenerating your career path and your social recognition, the will to do, and the soul to dare. But on a practical note, yeah, some of you are going to change your house, your land, your property, sell, move. And maybe not right away. Maybe the move will happen within 6 months of this because it's hooked into a full moon, a new moon. Full new moons take up to 6 months to fulfill themselves. So some of you are going to sell a home, change a home in the months ahead. Jupiter's protecting your finances. This is lucky. This is like my friend with the lawsuit, the Taurus guy. I mean, not the lawsuit, but the bankruptcy proceeding. I mean, Jupiter's trying. Like Jupiter, I always say, if you're born with Jupiter in the second house, it's a Hail Mary pass for your finances. I've got that. I've hit the bottom of my barrel and been completely without any money. And all of a sudden something happens and I get money coming in. That's people born with that. But temporarily, Tauruses have had the Hail Mary pass. Jupiter protecting your finances, no matter how rough and tough tumble things are. So consider that whatever's going on around home, property, land, real estate, and career, and then Venus, of course, giving you some surprises. You're still in the financial protection zone until June the 9th. Like, subscribe, hit my notification bell if you're in the live premiere. Give this weekly video some love. Recording it on the 14th of April, a week ahead, because I want to go on vacation. Please know that if stuff has hit the fan before then, I have no idea what's happened. Jupiter is in your first house, Geminis. And this is lucky, and you're protected. Our health is protected. Health challenges find solutions, and you feel lucky, optimistic, and you are. You got a 4-leaf clover and a horseshoe of a rabbit on your keychain. That aside, go back to January 1st, 2nd, 3rd, when Mars and Pluto were opposite each other in the area of the sky that represents 2 pieces of real estate. 3rd house, 9th house. You're one of those people I would advise not to travel anywhere abroad this week. You will be like another sign I mentioned, under the volcano. Don't do it. Stay home. The other sign was Gemini. It's like, I'm not Gemini. The other sign was Sagittarius. It's just that, Pluto and Mars oppositions are like volcanic explosions, maybe eruptions, maybe difficult geopolitical situations wherever you might be. So wherever you are, stay home. This is not the week to travel, the 21st to the 27th of April. Just saying, I'd stay home if I was me. And then, you might have a fight here. Like, did you have a fight January 1st, 2nd, 3rd with a sibling, especially one younger, aunt, uncle, cousin, niece, nephew, conflicts? I think I hurt the feelings of my younger sibling. By the way, I am a progressed Gemini sun. Progressions are not important as your natal chart, but you'll see elements of that playing out. I kind of want you to consider, are you ready to quit something? Mars is the ending, cutting, severing. And the 3rd house is social media, teaching, learning, traveling, writing, communicating. Mars ending, cutting, severing, quitting something could happen. Did you quit something in January? Did you want to but couldn't? Pluto is like powerful transformation and regeneration wants to happen. In terms of your spiritual life, your connection to the divine mind and spiritual philosophy, maybe you want to get a more dharmic path, alignment with your purpose, going into a deep movement towards being purpose in the world for something that's really your thing, your gig, why your soul is here. And to do that, you might end, cut, sever, and quit something in your 3rd house. Otherwise, legal battles, any day here. Judges that are a dominant force of power and control, tense situations there, tension with a professor over your essay that you turned in, small ticket stuff like that. You could find that this is so different, though, than January 1st, 2nd, 3rd, but it's a part of a larger seed planting, right? Because you planted a seed, you want to get in alignment with your Dharma. You want to be purpose for the greater good. You want to use your talents and gifts over the next 20 years. Pluto, Mars keep coming back every 2 years in your 9th house to remind you of that. It's good for book publishing, publications, teaching, traveling the world, and even moving abroad. And that's things that some of you are going to think about doing as a result of the seed that was planted in February of 2024 in the Pluto conjunction on Valentine's Day last year. Third marriages belong to the 9th house. First marriage is the 7th house. Second marriage is the 2nd house. So maybe there's massive tension between you and a third marriage partner on the last week of April. Did you have tension the first week of January? Go back and compare. Because now this time, this tension out pictures as a new moon in your 12th house. Don't forget this is happening April 26th, 27th, but you feel this energy building all week long. And this is about a kind of a new beginning and a fresh start. I think some of you are moving to another country or going to travel or spend significant time abroad. If you don't do that, you're going to move to a distant shore. And a distant shore doesn't always mean foreign. So, California to New York is a distant shore, right? And there's that possibility here as well. You might find you want to start fresh and have a new beginning in matters to do with digital income and foreign land revenue that you might be making in your life, especially if you have the online world. And there's a strategic kind of shifting critical turning point energy built into this tension. So maybe, for example, I make money by doing readings. I'll stop doing readings. Talk about my progressed Gemini sun. I'll only do teachings, Pluto in the 9th house. I'll teach classes, but I won't one-on-one client anymore. And that's very possibly very true for me at this point. I think that you could also note that the Venus placement is so powerfully auspicious for your career. Someone told me I sound like Gilligan's Island, the Howells. What do you always say? Oh, lovey. I'm Canadian. I have a Canadian accent, not British, but we say ooch and a boot, right? Apparently, but the North Node, Saturn, and Venus up there, expanding your career success, giving you a glow up, giving you popular appeal. And they are flowing this week ahead, all in the backdrop of this week, some the week before this, but also the week ahead. They're flowing in a beautiful way to Uranus. And that's unexpected positive surprises to do with wealth generated from distant lands and shores connected to your highfalutin reputation. Another thing could be a positive surprise because backroom deals and negotiations by the boss or the human resources crew on your behalf is going to level you up to a new level of power, an unexpected job opportunity, elevation of stature, promotion, or raise. Especially here with Mars ruling your 6th house of work. I mean, this guy has a lot to do with your work life in this week ahead as well. Finally, I just want to say that if you're single and looking for a relationship, and this is not the first thing I would have said, but with Jupiter eyeballing your 7th house and Venus, the goddess of love, with Saturn at the top of the sky, there may be a shocking, unexpected, surprising development of romantic love connected to matters in your career. So, the office romance can blossom on the 21st of April through to the end of the month, but basically the 28th. Keep it in mind. Finally, and it's not the Pisces who are last but never least, it's the Cancers. This is the time I started with Leo. So Cancer, sun, moon, and rising, you're planting new seeds, Valentine's Day, 2024, new beginning in the chunky money house. The spousal shared resources, the tax structures, your investments in the markets, your inheritance monies. This kind of money, it wants to start over. It's also 8th house reset button, Pluto Mars conjunction, February of 24, occult mysteries, learning the tarot, using your psychic powers, digging into the hermetic wisdom. This is all a new beginning area for Cancer. And because this new beginning keeps playing out in multiple parts of Act 1, 2, and 3 for 2 years, there's lots of turning points. I covered that in the beginning of my video with a chart to show you. Go watch it. However, To me, this is January 1st, 2nd, 3rd, tension in the sky, very intense between spending and saving, maybe, and money and taxes and shared spousal resources. Who knows? You could have had a fight with a partner in business or love about money when the first few days of January. Mars rules the house of children. There might have been tension with a child and money during the same window, the first few days of January. This Mars Pluto opposition is explosive and intense, but it also has the power to give you the will to do and the soul to dare. Is there some financial objective you'd like to do that takes a lot of courage and willpower to achieve? I think so, because ultimately it points to a new moon or a new beginning in the 11th house of career gains and the actualization of your long range dreams, goals, and wishes, but also the fruiting of that career into financial abundance. And this energy is bringing your mind and attention this week to the question of authentic self-expression and financial gain that allows for you to make a new beginning and a fresh start in how you earn money. In this regard, you could cut and or sever something you've already been doing. That job, that path, that career direction may come to a terminus or an ending in this week ahead that's quite official. When I see tension like this between houses 2 and 8, there may be a major expenditure that you're facing. Maybe you did that the first week of January. Now you have another major expenditure that you have to spend some money on. Mars is a spender in the second house when he's not a self-starter, because you could also finally make the decision in this guy to make your own money, to be an entrepreneur, to be a self-starter that way. But when he's spending, and Pluto and Mars are intense confrontation, you have maybe to pay off a debt that didn't belong to you, for example. Jupiter's eyeing the house of debts. Maybe you're paying down a child's debt, a husband's debt, a wife's debt. And there's just tension in the sky today or this week, the 21st to the 27th or so, 28th. But there's new beginnings. And those new beginnings and new fresh starts are financial. You're kind of trying to change the way you bring money to your life in a significant and transformative and powerful way. Pluto can make you wealthy in the next 20 years. Venus is going to open up in the backdrop of the sky this whole week long, this beautiful trio of Saturn in the North Node. She was there also the week before with this trio, but she's sextiling Uranus. And Uranus is the unexpected and the surprising energy regarding favors from an elder sibling and unexpected benefits from a friend or ally, or unexpected surprises financially, like a perky uplift, a raise or promotion in your career gains. But ninth house energy is also foreigners and foreign people, book publishing industry, and academic settings. Depends on what you're doing in life, but a very nice week ahead for some positive surprises that elevate you, make you feel good, and look good on your resume. It could also mean like maybe something to do with a foreign travel opportunity may emerge connected to a sibling one older than you or a sibling one younger with the South Node in that third house. And if you are on a path of spiritual attainment, you might have a spiritual breakthrough of some sort. And if you're trying to get a book published, then you're going to have an unexpected breakthrough in the publishing world. And if you're trying to get accepted into your favorite school, this is an auspicious week for an unexpected breakthrough around acceptances into colleges and universities. I hope that's helpful. There's so many ways I could parse this whole story for each sign. I tried to keep it succinct. Please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And I'll see you in the next video. What am I doing in the next video? Well, something will be coming up for sure on Thursday. And if you're getting this video on a Monday, the all signs dropped yesterday for your sign for the month of May. May is a wonderful month. Please go check out your all signs compared to the month of April. It's a whole lot better. All right. Thanks, guys. Ciao, ciao. See you in the next one.